I'd like to invite our partner in crime, Brian Purchia, to join us. I mentioned that this is a roadshow. This is actually part of a movement. San Jose is a dot in a continuum of discussion happening across California. Brian, I call him a guru. He is a communication strategist of Purchia Communications, but even more so than that, he has actually kick-started, he's one of the first person that kick-started open data discussions in California about 5 years ago. So I'd like to ask him to share with us a bit about what's happening in other cities across California, and then he will also make an introduction of a very special guest that we have here.
All right, thank you, Lynn. Yeah, it's awesome to see a packed room here. Jeremy, Michelle, Apogee for having us here, and all of you for being here. It is, she just mentioned it's 5 years since we launched Data SF, which was San Francisco's version of an open data platform after the federal government went ahead and did data.gov. I remember talking with Jay Nath a couple months before that was going live, like, oh, we got to be first, we want to do this. And, to be in this room and see people excited about this, that's kind of what the initial idea was. We knew, number one, that this wasn't the government's data, this was the public's data. And secondly, that we thought people would do incredible stuff with this data, whether, making companies or making government work better. And, this morning I helped launch Code for America's latest accelerator class. We've got Avi here, former co-director. But the industry itself is valued at like $140 billion right now, the civic tech industry. And you're going to hear from leaders of companies shortly, and those that are helping make these companies possible. And it's just it's pretty cool to see. But I think the important thing is this isn't like a San Francisco or just a Silicon Valley thing. It's it's an international thing. There's a big conference going on in Berlin right now. And getting to the roadshow, this idea for a roadshow came about a couple months ago. The guy to my right, Kish Rajan, who's the governor's economic guru, if we're using these terms. And I think for Kish, understand, yes, increasing transparency, making government work better. All of those parts of the equation were part of his desire to do a roadshow. But for him, at the end of the day, he knows numbers and he sees that there's a huge business opportunity there, and for him it made economic sense. And wanted to, he came to us, my partner Mike Montgomery, who's not unfortunately able to be here today because of some family reasons. But Kish goes around the state, and he sees this. It isn't anything new at this point. This is something that we've got many years of experience, and it can happen anywhere. Speaking of the roadshow, 2 weeks ago, a number of us were down in San Bernardino, in the Inland Empire. Rob from California Forward made just an incredible event possible. We'll hear from Rob in a second. And again, great turnout. But we had city managers, we had tech leaders from many surrounding communities. And really, at the end we'll do a little breakout session. Some of the best ideas I've ever heard for like moving this open data effort forward came out of some of those breakout sessions in San Bernardino. One of the rock stars of this kind of open data movement is a woman named Leah Dessing. She's the Chief Innovation Officer for Riverside. I've had the opportunity to hear her speak a couple times, and it's just, it's just like, thinks of things I've never thought about. Like during one of the breakout sessions, we're going through the different, Rob and others are leading this with Code for America on how do we move open data forward in your community. And Leah's like, I'm the Chief Innovation Officer, we're doing this, we're doing that. But what we're really thinking about doing is, the power of the RFP. They're like, what if we, any company that wants to do business with Riverside has to make their data, or our data, in open and machine-readable format in real time. And I was like, wow, some of our jaws just dropped. Like, okay, yeah, I never thought about that. Kind of a bureaucratic change, but you don't have to go through a lot of the political battles. It's just kind of part of doing business with Riverside. And I was like, wow, that should be done everywhere. And one other thing I want to talk about, just about this movement, is definitely building. It's still very new, but it's building. There's lots of innovation officers and chief data officers who you'll hear from later throughout the country. And I also want to talk quickly about Prop 42. Many of you probably have no idea, but you probably voted yes on it, hopefully, a couple weeks ago. And what it will do, is still to be determined, but allowing for open government laws that are already on the books to be enforced. And part of this roadshow is going around and highlighting the incredible work that's going on in different communities, bringing in thought leaders and helping to create a framework for hopefully statewide open data policies that this doesn't exist right now. And there's a fear, as someone who I worked in the city and county of San Francisco, launched, as you heard, San Francisco's effort years ago. A lot of fear from different department heads. But as Avi, he wrote this great piece right after it came out, and he said, you hear from him shortly, civic software as a service can make what seems like a new burden for cities an opportunity to collaborate. And I really feel like that is what is possible with this Prop 42 as we move forward and as this roadshow continues. But without further ado, I want to introduce you all to my fellow roadie, Kish Rajan.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah. Brian, thanks, that was great. I really appreciate the introduction and your comments, and appreciate your efforts. I absolutely want to add in Leah in commending you for being one of the people that's showed tremendous leadership and determination to make open data, open government, and all of the potential benefits create momentum and start to come to fruition. So keep up the good work. Thank you very much. And Mike Montgomery, who indeed is your partner in that, who wanted to be here, couldn't be here for family reasons, but he's done an outstanding job. You guys are a dynamic duo, and I'm glad to be working with you. And I want to thank Leah. Obviously, I want to thank the folks here at Apogee. This is great. What a wonderful space. Thank you for making the space available. It's great to be here. You may well just be a startup and needing to make it, and I appreciate that determination, but it looks like you're doing pretty darn good so far, so good luck, and we'll be watching your progress going forward. Certainly, California Forward and all the other partners that help make this possible, thanks for doing that. I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about this from my perspective and sort of what I see around the state in my role as Director of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, and why I think this is just such an outstanding opportunity at exactly the right time for California. If you look at our economic conditions generally, what you see in California is this incredibly mixed bag, right? Where we are at the exact same time one of the most vibrant, successful economies on the planet with tremendous momentum, tremendous resilience, amazing growth. You see this all across California. You see, since the depths of the Great Recession, California rebounding in a remarkable way, such that we are now, again, one of the nation and one of the globe's leaders in economic growth across many, many categories. You see tremendous momentum, and I think it's building in our state. Whereas at the exact same time that that's happening, there are too many communities across California that aren't participating in that success, that aren't experiencing that economic rebound and growth. And as successful as we see places like San Jose, San Francisco, West LA, Orange County, San Diego, our coastal hubs of innovation that are doing better than they ever have, I see too many communities that have stubbornly high unemployment. They have poverty levels that are setting in a very real way. And you see a lack of the economic building blocks and foundation in too many places across the state, such that if we stay on this path, where we are seeing this bifurcation of the state, and you see these trend lines that are diverging in a very severe way, what we risk is the emergence of literally two Californians. One successful that's moving forward and leading in the 21st century, and one where we have millions of our fellow Californians that we're fundamentally leaving behind. That's a condition that cannot be acceptable. I assure you it isn't acceptable to Governor Brown. It isn't acceptable to our administration. And so we have to find ways to challenge ourselves to build on all of the wonderful things that are happening in California, but then find ways to broaden that prosperity and to include and incorporate everyone across our state so that every Californian has the same and equal opportunity to be successful and to pursue everything that they want to pursue individually and collectively in their community. So that's the great challenge that's before us. So how do we do this? How do we embrace this challenge? But how do we do it in a contemporary way, in a 21st century way? How do we take full advantage and maximize all of our potential and summon all of that and point all of our capacity in a way that deals with those opportunities and challenges going forward? Clearly, the thing that continues to distinguish and differentiate California's economic capacity from most places in the country, most places in the world, for that matter, is our ability to innovate, and is our creative economy, and our ability to use technology to transcend and to deal with challenges in new and innovative ways. That's what Apogee is doing, and that's what is happening in the Silicon Valley every day, and that's what's happening across California every single day. And yet, one of the great ironies of this whole situation, is that as amazing as the technological capacities and advancements and innovations are in the private sector in our state, we see our public sector organizations, for the most part, dramatically lagging behind that. And that gap that exists between what's possible in the private sector and what's the reality of the public sector, what's happening in the gap is our citizens, our fellow Californians, are falling through that gap in a way that we should not allow to continue. So when we look at open data and open government and the ability to build upon what you will hear in this conversation when I stop talking and get out of the way and let it happen, is people that now are delivering against that promise. They are innovating and they are creating things. This whole new era of civic entrepreneurship is something that is thrilling to behold, as Brian said, both because it's good business. It will produce thousands of new jobs, billions of dollars of economic contribution to our state will happen because of this new industry that is forming around civic innovation. So that's great for the state in terms of the economic contribution that we'll make. But at least, if not more important, is that by helping to create these open platforms, by helping to enable governments to reinvent themselves and to move forward with data-based policy, right? Policy in general, economic development policy in particular, this is what will help transform our organizations. What I'll say finally is that the way economic development has been working in our state for the past several decades has been, as I like to say, largely organized around kind of big iron systems, programs out of Sacramento, big programs like redevelopment and redevelopment agencies and enterprise zones and other programs that have been around for 30 or 40 years. And Governor Brown, when he came into office this time, is determined to change. He is determined to move us forward in a more contemporary way. So he did away with those programs. Now, that's caused a lot of challenge. I look at my friend, the city manager here of San Jose, and that's caused enormous challenges in the near term for communities like this one and communities all across the state. And that is not lost on us, this transition that we're in. But what San Jose is proving through events like this, or what will be on display here, and what we indeed want to build upon not just here, but all across the state, is a way of saying, how do we renew? How do we reimagine what's possible in a governmental context? And open data and open government is the way that we can create a new era of 21st century economic development, where the power of people like you folks in this room, public sector, private sector, entrepreneurs, business, nonprofits, academics, community groups coming together around a new data-based platform where we can consistently look at the same type of information and unleash the power of that information to reimagine our vision for our regional and local economies and the developed plans, the way we work together in that data-based environment. I'm convinced that that is the way that we will deliver our state into the future, and that we will bridge the gaps that exist, that we will address the challenges that we will have, and we will summon the full complement of the power of California to do great things. So we have big ambitions for what this session means and what it means is starting a whole movement across the state. And so I hope that you will not only participate actively in this session, as I'm sure you will, but that you will take inspiration into seeing how you can bring the talent that you possess into helping be a major contributor to the transformation that we seek. So with that, I thank you for being here today. Thank you for allowing me to participate, and I look forward to where we go from here. Thanks very much.